Hello, today's guide is to introduce our ever so familiar big tree in Tower of Fantasy. Not that tree, this tree. DPS, Benediction and Fortitude. The resonances and what makes them special in their own ways. First and foremost, we have the attack class, also known as the DPS role. What's a DPS? In simple terms, they do the bulk of damage. Everything revolves around attack, attack, and attack. You level up, pump up that attack, get good gears, and pray to the RNG gods for the highest attack you can get so you can deal
big damage in combat.
very straightforward. The Benediction is also known as the healer in layman terms. Although Benediction in Tower of Fantasy is more than just healing. They also provide buffs that increase the output damage for DPS teammates. It's just really hard explaining the words Benediction to newbies without them frowning at me, so Bene it is. Bene roles in Tower of Fantasy are rather complex. On one hand, it's easy. Just heal your teammates and ensure they don't die. If they die, it's likely on you. On the other hand, Benediction mains are also responsible for buffing teammates and increasing the damage output of the team. Very established and well-built Benediction players are key to how well the team performs in difficult content or even timer attacks for ranking. Think of it this way: Benediction, DPS, and tank. You're somewhere in the middle. What it really translates to is something like this. Benediction and DPS, they share the same stats. Benediction and tank, we support the DPS. And tank and DPS, he's just a colleague from work. So, even the best DPS players out there can't hit their stride or perform at the highest level if the Benediction mains aren't doing their job properly or head into battle unequipped and unprepared. Some Benediction weapons also have the capability to shield and protect players from lethal damage. Zero or Grey Fox weapons are examples of Benediction weapons that sort of have anti-death mechanism. So in short, Benediction has two key roles: heals and buffs. Sounds simple but not that easy to master. Last on the list, we have our Fortitude class, also known as
The tank.
This role, to be frank with you guys, is very undervalued. How can I put it in a way that's easy to understand? Tanks have very low presence in the game, largely due to DPS being able to kill everything quickly. Whales, for example, can take down most content single-handedly before any teamwork comes into play. That is, for most content. For endgame modes that have high difficulty, tanks do rise to the occasion. They are necessary for grabbing the boss aggro while nullifying damage to the team. Also, similar to Benediction, the Fortitude combination of weapons can produce insane buffs for the DPS, depending on your advancements and skills. Literal skills. But before you get to that stage, and if you are undergeared or with low start weapons, you're likely to be ignored, or what's worse, you'd feel you're not contributing at all when DPS charts exist. Can't blame bro for feeling that way when you're doing 0.9 of the overall damage. We only human, yo. The harsh truth is, extreme difficulty content modes such as this particular OOW season with Nanyin and Iron Tomb was so demanding on the tank's performance. Tanks that don't have the required gears or setup would find it impossible to even participate in such battles. That said, tanks that have managed to weather the storm and still survive up to today in Tower of Fantasy have likely managed to build a solid sense of self-awareness and have found purpose in the game that at times doesn't treat each class equally. Just know that while the tank's gaming experience goes down by a little, they in fact elevate others around them. Respect. Now, let's talk about the resonance. We have 3 weapon slots. Whenever we equip 2 weapons of the similar class or same class, we trigger that resonance. Attack, Benediction, Fortitude resonance. Simple. There is one more resonance. Balanced. But truthfully, balanced reso doesn't really give better team buffs than the others, So unless we are forced to use this particular resonance, I'd advise just sticking to the big three. In team play, attack gains huge final damage buffs. Benediction gains additional heals. Tanks further gain aggro boosts and the unique ability to apply their weapons' elemental weaknesses to the targets. Great for content that has no weaknesses by default. With these unique buffs, I say it allows the team to be more diverse, and also you can't handle two professions at once. Tanks won't be able to heal well, and DPS won't be able to purely do damage and survive those big boom damages from bosses. For stats wise, DPS and Benediction would aim to build gears based on attack. High elemental attack combined with flat attack stats in those Titan gears. For DPS, it's a no-brainer. Attack equals to damage. Crit equals to more damage. Benediction shares the same stats too. High attack power gives better heals, crit gives burst heals, and even for Benediction buffers, the likes of Fiona and Grey Fox would depend on your attack power to give better boosts. Fortitude stats are the total opposite. You need resistance stats, period. Crit is not that important for tanks, and your HP will be high enough the more you progress and refine your gears. What I do need to stress is, if you go pure tank, you will have difficulty in soloing content and getting rewards. Rewards equal to progression, and without the progression, you're kinda stuck in a loop. Single content such as Bygones, Sequentials, and also Evolution Vanguard do need some form of DPS comps to get you through for the nice rewards. I guess that's one of the reasons why tanks struggle in catching up if they do not have decent DPS comps. I talked about Titan gears, and aiming for DPS stats even for tanks is because of such reasons. Veteran players should already have enough resources to build 2 sets of gears if they wish to, but for new players, you have to consider the path you want to take when it comes to Titan gears. It could be costly to reset everything if you make a wrong choice early on. So to summarize what I've highlighted, the DPS role is really straightforward. You'll take care of the damage and do everything you can to make that happen. Benediction keeps the team alive and distributes strong buffs for the overall damage boost. Tanks hold aggro and shields the team from big damage. They also shatter shields and apply elemental weaknesses whenever needed. The current endgame meta is still 1 tank, 2 support, and 1 DPS for the best throughput. Choose your roles wisely, but don't forget to have fun while you're at it. Classes are important, but so is enjoyment. I hope this basic guide is helpful for new players and a reminder that everybody has a role to play in Tower of Fantasy. Till then, I'll see ya in the next one.